In this lecture, we discuss the use of diagrams for creating meaningful graphics, icons, and images. Diagrams are useful for illustrating the structure of an object, its key parts, and how they are related to each other. Diagrams are also useful for illustrating the relationships of objects, the structure of an organization, or it could be the structure of the website. Diagrams can also be used to reveal temporal or spatial order, including activities such as sequence in which the object's parts should be assembled. Different kinds of diagrams include flowcharts, cause and effect charts, Gantt charts, entity relationship diagrams, organization charts, network diagrams, and so on. All diagrams have three elements or components that are shapes, lines, and labels. Shapes are the entities connected by the diagram's lines, and shapes represent two levels of information. The kind and structure of the shape will have meaning to the viewer, and the shape's label will indicate what particular information this component contains. A diagram's lines or edges show the relationships between the shapes and may also contain multiple levels of information. A line connecting two shapes indicates that the shapes are related. The weight or style of the line may indicate a particular type of relationship. The arrows or other symbols at the end of the line may indicate directionality, and the labels may describe the purpose of a specific line. Lines do not necessarily indicate the physical distances in the diagram. Labels are any text that states or adds to the meaning of the shape or line. Depending on the type of the diagram, labels do not always have to be attached to the shape or the line. They can be located in a list or tree to the left of the diagram. To reduce the diagram's clutter, labels may be hidden until the user asks for them. They may be represented in tooltips or turned on and off through the toggle switch. Other types of information may be included in the diagram's border if needed. So the elements of the diagram are illustrated in the next slide with the help of a figure. Simple diagrams showing only as much detail as necessary to clearly illustrate the diagram's objective. Simpler diagrams will also load faster on the web pages, and to illustrate key points, provide cutaway diagrams or exploded diagram views. An extensive series of design guidelines for diagrams are provided in the following table. You can find the table in the next slide. This diagram shows us the diagram elements. So you can see that the arrows represent the direction of control flow, whereas the diamond box says that it is a step wherein we make a decision, and rest of the rectangular boxes are the activities that are to be taken or activities that are to be carried out. Moving on to drawings, we use a drawing when only certain parts of an image are of relevance, and these parts must be emphasized or clearly represented. If the working of a specific object is to be described, a diagram illustrating its relevant parts should be used. Guidelines provide simple drawings showing minimal details. They are easier to view and understand, and they also load more quickly. Photographs are likely to be less effective because they contain information that is not relevant. They lack clarity and they take longer time to load on a web page. If a user is also in a need of a detailed drawing, we try to provide a link to a page containing a complete drawing. Moving on to animation, we always try to use animation only when it serves a useful purpose. Animation has been found to be an effective way when representing complex concepts. Animations can be used to enhance textual explanations of the objects, changing over time. For example, a map illustrating population growth can be animated to illustrate population density and patterns over a sequence of years or centuries. Proper sequential body positions needed to be skillfully performed a sports can also be illustrated. The acceptance and impact of animation is enhanced when animation is introduced or users are warned to expect it, and users are allowed to start it when they want it. The current location within or the state of a process can be highlighted through animation by using flow arrows or process steps. Dynamic feedback can be provided to confirm something is happening. When copying files in some operating systems, an animation may appear to be showing the files flying from one file to another. Continuity in transitions can also be illustrated. The changing of states of an element with two or more states will be easier to understand if transitions are animated instead of being instantaneous. Visualization of a three-dimensional structure can also be aided. While a two-dimensional screen can never provide a full understanding of a 3D element. Animating the element by slowly turning it aids in understanding its structure. Animation can also be used to attract attention. The user's attention can be directed to an important screen element or alerted to an important condition by using proper animation. So the disadvantages are, in case any discussion of screen image animation includes a strong caution concerning animation's side effects. Screen animation is difficult to ignore, often overpowering a person's peripheral vision. Peripheral vision competes with foveal vision of person's attention. That sensed in peripherally is passed on to our information processing system along with what is actively being viewed. It is, in a sense, visual noise. Animation can also potentially create problems for people with some disabilities. Flickering images can trigger some forms of ellipsis, and moving images can be distracting for people with attention problems. Rapid image changes can make it harder for visually impaired people with some sight to focus on the images. Another current negative side effect of web page animation is it is its close association with advertising. Animation, including scrolling text, is frequently being used by the advertisers to try and gather the user's attention. Studies suggest that people have started equating animation with advertising. So, animation as a screen element is being routinely ignored. Important animation may therefore be missed, and animated images also take longer time to load. Therefore, use animation sparingly. Only use it when it is an integral part of a textual content or reinforces the content. Try to create short segments. There are many distractions people may encounter while watching animations, so long segments should always be avoided. Animation, when used, should be capable of being stopped by the user, so an image may be studied in detail. It should also be capable of being replayed and ended entirely so that it is eliminated as visual distraction. All in all, always avoid animation or special effects that distract from from the screen's message. Further, we move on to discussion of audition that focuses on sound as a communication medium for presenting meaningful information, words, music, and so on. We use audio as a supplement to text and graphics and only to reinforce visual content. Audio should never be used alone because of its disadvantages. Audio can also be used to establish atmosphere. A particular type of music reflecting the website's content can be played to establish ambience and also to create orientation, sign, posts, and audio can also be used to teach word pronunciation or to provide samples of music. The advantage of having an audio is its ability to offer commentary or help for visual display. Audio does not obscure information on the screen and it downloads faster than most other types of graphics. But the disadvantages are similar to those of sounds described in the previous step. Audio can be annoying to many people, including users and non-users. It can be easily overused, increasing the probability that it will be ignored. And audio is also not reliable because some people are hard of hearing. It may leave no permanent record of having occurred, or it may not be available to the users, or it may be turned off. Loud audio can also be irritating, so especially to those who are having sensitive hearing. Therefore, when words are spoken, the content should be simple and the speed of narration should be about 160 words per minute. When the narration is used to introduce new ideas or new concepts, the narration should be slowed. Off-screen narration should be used rather than on-screen narration. On-screen narration is acceptable. However, if the narrator is recognized authority of the topic being presented. Always try to create short segments. There are many distractions people may encounter while listening to an audio. So, long segments should be avoided, and always try to provide audio segments of high quality. The background audio should always be soft so that it does not interfere with the main information being presented on the screen. Then moving on to interactive voice response systems. So these systems have now become feasible and are being widely implemented. These systems synthesize both grammatical and statistical models of speech recognition to interpret spoken words reliably and accurately. IVR systems have the potential to replace both human agents and touch tone menu systems. The accuracy rates at the first decision points are up to 70 to 75%. IVRs also appear to have significant advantage over touch-tone telephones like cell phones that have the keypad on the receiver. It is more difficult to follow and implement a touch-tone instruction when the telephone must be continually removed from one's ears to press the required numbers. Thus, interface technology encourages inclusion of various graphical media along with the text on the screen. Therefore, we now study the combining mediums. The design issue is which mediums work best with the other mediums and which mediums should not be employed together. The first theory is called dual code theory. It proposes that people store information in two ways in memory. One is verbally and the other one is pictorially. This theory postulates that because of this dual storage capability, information communicated to a person in both a verbal and pictorial manner has a greater likelihood of being remembered than information arriving only in one format. Also postulated is that too much information arriving in one format can clutter that particular memory. Combining verbal audio with displayed text is one such overtaxing combination. Second theory also proposes two independent working memories, but is slightly different in the concept. The first type of memory is visual spatial sketchpad, in which information accumulated visually is stored. This visual information may be graphical or textual in nature. The second type of working memory is phonological loop for dealing with and storing auditory information. This theory postulates that performance may be improved for certain more complex tasks because of the working memory being expanded through the application of two senses. The general conclusion is that combining visual and verbal auditory information can lead to enhanced comprehension when compared to relying on one sense alone. The, the two theories diverge on the storage of audio. Both the visual and auditory information should be totally relevant to the task being performed, and all spoken text should reinforce presented graphics. Graphics improved user performance, specifically the recall of information. Based upon the previous studies, we have a set of guidelines that provide sufficient time for reading screen graphics captions. We always should present simultaneously all visual and auditory narrative information to the user, or have the visual information precede the auditory narrative by no more than 7 seconds. And in order to control the user's attention, reveal or expose information systematically on the screen, either from left to right or from top to bottom. Limit the information revealed on one item at a time and sequentially reveal related elements. Finally, any animation must show an action being initiated as well as the action's result, and avoid any animation that tries to distract from other more important screen information. So what should be the downloading times? So always try to consider the downloading time in choosing a graphical medium. Downloading times range from fastest audio to slowest video. And then thoroughly test all graphics for legibility. Make sure the visual graphics are easy to see from a variety of viewing distances. Also test them for comprehensibility. Are the visual graphics and related audio clear and understandable? And are the graphics acceptable to the using audience? This is especially critical if the users are from different cultural backgrounds. Always test graphics with all representative user groups.